Hey everyone, Papercut here. You are about to see a coaching session that I did on my Discord. I give away coaching sessions sometimes for free, and the following person won a coaching session, and we're doing it live on my Discord. Wanted to post it in case anyone on YouTube wanted to watch. One thing I want to note is some people forgot to put their mics on mute when they entered. I tried to catch and edit out all the instances where there was extra noise, but I might have missed a couple, so apologies for that. Go ahead and enjoy, and if you're interested in joining my coaching Discord or follow me on Twitch, check my description in the video below. Thank you. All right, man. Well, let's hop into it. Anyone who's currently in the audience right now, all I ask is that you stay on mute, and then I'll have some times where I'll be like, if you have any questions, or please let me know now, and you can kind of chip in. But for us two, we're gonna go ahead and get started with a free coaching session. Thanks once again for joining on the Discord, taking part in the draw. And let's see if we can help you out today.
Thanks for hosting.
So I noticed you've been bouncing around civs today. Are there certain civs that you would say are your mains?
So I'm a bit of an achievement hunter, so because of that, I slowly was whittling away at the masteries. I would say I know how to play English pretty well. Rus I try to play as my knight civilization. I know how to play Malians. I haven't played Ottomans in a while, so it's probably English, Japanese, Malians, and Rus. I know how to play. I don't know how to play Delhi. I don't know how to play Abbasid.
Totally okay. And in fact, oh no, sorry.
Most of them I have most of them I've at least gotten the mastery up so that I've played a lot of games in real matches and some skirmishes.
Yeah, interesting. So for me, I generally give people advice to stick with one, maybe two civs if your goal is to climb. If your goal is to like get the masteries, have fun, try different civs, it's different. But if your goal is, man, I really want to like push to plat or push to diamond, keeping it to one or two civs right now is big because there's so many things to learn within both the game and your civ. And if you keep switching civs, the way to think about it is for each civ you learn, not only do you have to learn how they match up versus every other civ, so that's 15 different matchups, but you also have to learn how that might be adjusted for every map. And so while when you get to a higher skill level, you can more quickly adapt to that, partly because you just played so much that you've played against the other civs and kind of know what they're trying to do based on when you play them. But that's just my suggestion. Once again, do whatever makes you enjoy the game. It is a game, but that's my first upfront advice.
I think I've kind of narrowed in on playing Rus and English and then sometimes Japanese.
Well, that's great because your two losses they were on Rus, so those are the ones I looked at. Though I did look at your most recent English, one of your recent English wins against Abbasid that we could also use if you want me to look at an English game. I generally look at losses just because it's a loss. There's more to pick up from it. But even in that win I saw, there's definitely some things you could have done to win faster.
There was a Rus match I played against an English guy that I think took me a while, but he also kind of played very oddly. One of the Malian matches, I think I was under pressure the entire time, but I ended up winning, which was nice. This guy beat me. It's kind of, I'll tell you, it's hit or miss in gold. Like sometimes I play against people that you can tell just remade a brand new account and they're trying out something new, but they have good game experience. Sometimes they're completely new, and sometimes they're as good as me. So like when someone plays something like Byzantines, I didn't know really how to play against it, and I think I kind of get smoked there.
Yeah, and I think also I played against a gold 3 player the other day who was not a gold 3 player, but he's in gold 3 because he obviously hadn't played ranked this season and was just hopping on the game, place him in gold.
Yeah.
Now generally the game will not place you against them because it pays attention to elo, but yes, I totally get it. I can tell the difference when I'm playing someone in diamond who is a diamond but they float conqueror and someone who is fresh into diamond. There is definitely a difference, and the same thing with every level of the game. But I like how you bring up you saw Biz, you didn't really know what to do, because I'm going to be upfront with one of the things I'm going to coach you on, which is it is very obvious, and you even mentioned to me when we were messaging back and forth on Discord, is a lack of a plan is the thing that's really holding you back. Often when I am watching your games, win or lose, the amount of time you lose because it's obvious you don't have an exact plan you're trying to go forward slows you down, which gives your opponent so much time. which in many of your wins, you win in spite of the time you give them. But in your losses, it's very apparent how the amount of time you're giving them from your indecision um,
Yeah.
is setting you back. So we really want to talk about what are kind of your game plans when you play Rus or English or anyone else, and talk about decisiveness and decision making. Which, at your level, the thing I always push people to do is just make a decision and try it. Like,
Yeah.
especially at this level, it's not till you get to like high diamond and conqueror and above where you really, really, really need to adjust per civ. At this level, decisiveness is more important than picking the perfect strategy. It's much better to be like, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna split my vills, and once you make a decision, everything flows from that. I'm gonna be aggressive, sweet. So I'm gonna split my vills to be heavy on food and gold and some wood. I'm just massing units. I'm going. Oh, I'm going 2 TC. I'm immediately going to stone and wood, getting that second TC up as fast as possible and going. Like all these things, all your decisions, your villagers flow from a plan, which allows you to just do those things faster and better. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Sweet. So let's talk about this game against Biz. What do you know about Byzantine?
Um, they can get a lot of cheap units for free. Well, not for free, but they have to plant down the farms.
Yeah,
I
the
think
old
my
will.
plan was to hopefully get to age 2 and then harass this guy with 2 knights. I think one of the reasons, just knowing the fights that come up in this fight, I think one of them I didn't realize he would have the land shark unit,
The
and
land shits.
like, and then I also felt like he also like had I don't know, so I didn't see them. I didn't anticipate him picking that one, and it messed up a team fight. But aside from that, I haven't really tried playing them yet. I know the cisterns buff either like the buildings or they produce faster, but I haven't spent time playing it
Yeah.
yet, so I'm not 100% sure.
Yeah. Every civ has a point where they get good quick. And kind of the bet, and when we're thinking about our game plans against civs, you either have the option of, well, if I reach my point would just be better than his. So for example, China 2 TC into farms, that will just beat most things. So they don't have to worry about other opponents' pay, like their
Hmm.
opponent's pain point if they can get to theirs. Other civs PowerPoints are so good, you have to adjust your game plans. For example, HRE Fast Castle. You have to adjust your game plan against that because if they get all the relics and go imp, it's just very hard to stop. So
Yeah.
Biz is one where you definitely kind of have to adjust because their PowerPoint, which is them getting their farms up and a castle, is so good. Once they get their
Okay.
farms up, once they get their mercs rolling and they get the castle with the golden horn, they will make so many units so quickly. I'm going to show you in this replay how you have more units than him. You let him get the castle, and then he doubles his units. Like it
Okay.
is crazy how fast. Because not only are they
Yeah, and I
getting the
didn't anticipate that because
mm-hmm,
I didn't know how to
yeah,
play against it. This one, and I guess Delhi I probably played against the least.
yep. And that's the other loss, which was Delhi and how like the civs that can produce quickly. So for Byzantine, it's the cisterns. For Delhi, it's their efficient production with their scholars.
Yeah.
It means that they can just produce units so quickly, and a lack of scouting hurts you more.
Hmm.
Um, like against French, you know how fast you're gonna make things. You can scout the opening, you can follow the knight, you kind of have a general feeling of how long it's
Yeah.
gonna take. Delhi can just pop from 0 to 100 out of nowhere. Biz can do the same. So your best bet against Biz is some feudal aggression. So your initial game plan is correct. I'm gonna take some knights. I'm gonna harass, and the big thing would be to harass berries and to harass gold. You will often see players like tower berries or tower gold. You need to go that far, but aggressing onto the berries so he can't set up easy farms under the winery, or aggressing onto his gold and then dropping ramps and going for it is kind of your best bet. Because if you go into castle, go into imp, castle, you're not gonna have an opening. It's gonna become an imp siege battle, which is pretty tough to do. Um, because your best bet is Streltsy and Siege and Imp. So let's talk about your opening then here. So our goal then is I want to make units as soon as possible in feudal to go raid. I have my plan, right? So let's see how that's executed. One thing on the opening is it's very, very important that when you're doing this multi-scout opening for Rus, that you have one scout that's doing a short corner and getting sheep back immediately. While the other,
Yeah.
so my always suggestion is your first scout should really dive to your opponent's side, and you're trying to get
Okay.
a deer pack on your opponent's side. So in this case, he
Yeah.
got lucky and hit a deer pack here. But if you dove, you would have at least gotten all the sheep on the way there,
Okay.
and then
Yeah, and
you.
that's something sometimes I because I play a few different civs, sometimes I miss time when I should bring the scout back for
Yeah,
food, and then I have villagers like waiting 5 seconds to get a spot.
and
So
that really hurts.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, he got super lucky with his deer placement. His first one's right next to his base, so his first scout
Right.
caught it. His second scout went to the corner, which happened to be where you have two deer packs.
Yeah, we competed a little bit for some. Like he got like 2 or 3, but I
Yeah.
think I cleaned up most of it.
So yeah, you start doing this deer pack. You notice he was killing this deer pack, but the problem was if the second basically you saw the deer pack in the corner and the other deer pack, this scout should have immediately hightailed it back to base to drop off sheep. Is what
Okay.
should have happened
Because he wouldn't be over where I just
Mhm.
was. Yeah.
because the realization is, oh, I gotta kill these deer. Like I gotta get these ones right now. I can't risk losing them if a scout comes. So I need to get sheep back. So this scout that's gone far is now coming back to drop off. Um, because what happens is, and then of course this takes APM, this takes micro. You have to pay
Yeah.
attention to this, and then all of a sudden you have villagers just sitting here, not collecting food. And really, all your villagers should be collecting food. None of your villagers should be on wood right now. They should all be collecting food because your goal is to hit feudal as fast as possible. But you can't because you have no sheep, and then you
Yeah.
really run out of sheep. And like this is really
Yep.
painful. You're gonna be aging up with 10 on
No, I think
food,
I move it, but yeah.
but you're gonna struggle to make more vills, and then the knockoff effect of that, and so much of the game is set up in the first like 6 to 10 minutes. Like the decisions we make within this first 6 to 10 affect so much of the rest of the game. Because if your plan is to feudal harass, and you know that the earlier you get there, the better, what should you be wanting to do as you're aging up?
Um, as I'm aging up, I mean, I think I should have some villagers near deer already,
Interesting.
but
So,
I don't do that very often though.
well, let's talk about that. So you send a lot of your villagers to deer, and you have a lot of food. Can you make units?
Well, I was gonna make stables. I need to be. I need to
There
have
it is.
150 for the stables at the age up.
So that's the big thing. Is that what I noticed in this game and in your other games as well? You tend to not do a key step in the age up, which is gathering the wood you need to do things on the age up.
Hmm.
You are often going too heavy on food, which then means you age up and you either don't have a production building or you're dropping it right after you age up, which true will happen in feudal for stables. But your goal is the second you age up, you want to be dropping that stable the second you age up, and that's tend to not be happening. It's happening for you in this case potentially, but that's because you gathered wood in Dark Age, when in reality you shouldn't have. You should have been gathering just food, and then as you're aging up, you send like 5 ills to wood, and they're gathering that wood, and you're just rallying to wood. Because really, what you'd be able to do, it'd be really nice if you could drop a stable and then maybe a second stable and do double knights, or do a stable in archer range immediately and go, or do a stable in blacksmith and immediately get the siege engineering to make rams. You know what I mean? Like
Hmm.
you need. It's really important to go heavy on wood early to set yourself up for very tempo based feudal. You want to immediately get on the field and go. Um, because I watched multiple of your games where you'd enter feudal and you'd have like 500 food, but you can't spend it because you don't have
Yeah.
any production. Now, if your goal was to go castle, that's perfect. But often I didn't see you go castle. Often your goal was, I want to make some units and harass. I want to go 2TC. And you're slowing yourself down because you haven't in your mind gone, oh, I want to do those things. I better, split my bills to do that. It just seems like, well, I want to make some units, but well, I'm out of food, so I have to go up to the food up here, and that means I have to drop a hunting cabin, but now I don't have the wood. But you're not really going heavy on wood right now, and they have to drop a lumber camp, so now you don't have the now you really
Yeah.
don't have the wood for a stable. See how that happened? Um, so now you age up, and an ideal, and if you watch high level roost players, if they want to be aggressive, the second they age up, they're dropping the stables being dropped,
Okay.
and
And I
that
didn't have
knight's
enough.
coming out.
Yep.
Um, and so and that gives you so much because the second you age up, he's also going on these front berries, and our scouting is really important here. You scout one, we really want to be scouting his base as you're hitting feudal, so you can see what's around. But already, if I see front berries for Biz, that's where I'm attacking. He can't get those berries. Um, and then I want to find the gold. Kind of read the gold, and your knights are used to really slow him down, and then you're transitioning into archers, so then you can make rams and then go. Or maybe you do a lot of damage, you go castle. That's your choice. But the tempo of the early game, if your goal is to do feudal pressure, that first 5 minutes is really, really important. Any questions on that idea?
Um, How many villagers would I put on wood when it's aging up? Four,
Yeah,
five?
so what I would do is, in general,
Get the stragglers, not build a lumber camp.
yeah, exactly. So you leave 4 on food to get villagers as you're aging up,
Right.
and then and you do 4 on the age up, and then every other villager should be on wood, and you're just gathering the stragglers. And so the first 50 is going to be another house,
Right.
and then the next, and you have 450 wood, 150, 150, 150 around. So the first 50 should be another house, the next 50 should be your lumber camp, and then the next 150 should be what you're gathering to drop the stable. And the second you drop the stable, then you can decide, am I going pure knights? Okay, well, I'm going to pull some villas off wood. I'm going to leave like 5 on wood so I can keep getting houses and keep making production. Actually, I want to go archers, so I'm going to keep that, 8 to 10 on wood, but I'm just going to start rallying to food now, and my food will balance out. And the point is you're asking yourself, what do I want? And splitting your villas based on that. It will be a slow process at first, but asking yourself these questions will help you make much more decisive, good decisions. I would rather you make a good decision slowly than multiple bad decisions quickly. And that decision comes from what am I trying to do, what I want to build. So now you're finally dropping the stable, and it's basically a minute late, but it's fine. Your opponent, keep in mind, you're playing an opponent of a similar skill level. So, at a higher level, he'd be dropping a tower right here already, but he's not. He's built 3 farms. He's just dropping military. He's definitely far behind. So you have a chance to go do damage here. And if we want to be aggressive, there's a few things we're going to do. One, it's okay to clean up the scouting here, but the second you're done, one scout needs to be, especially as Roos. As Roos, you should always know everything your opponent's doing because you have multiple scouts. So one scout should be at the front. One scout should be at the back near the goldwood line. So you're seeing what's he dropping. Is he dropping a tower? Where's his villagers? I ID those things, right? He has to be on a food. He has to be on gold. He has to be on wood. So where are those located? You then come the night down, and then you don't go.
Yeah, I think I decided to kill the boar or something.
You did. What's the value of killing the boar?
I don't know. I think I'm just used to playing 2s and seeing the bounty so much higher.
Yeah.
At this point, so I'm like, oh, I'm just gonna go kill it because I like having 400 bounty. And
dude, and that's fine. I get that impulse. What I would have rather you have done, and it's about value. What's more important? What's more important in this case is you getting him off food, killing villagers, and pressuring him. That's more important than a slightly higher bounty. Because really, what you could have done is get your wheelbarrow, grab 8 food vills, run them over to the boar, and have the villagers kill the boar, and then they can get it themselves.
Okay.
Speaking of which, it's very important to get these economic upgrades. You really always need to get wheelbarrows as early as possible. Get broad axes as early as possible. And of course, get the hunt. You got the hunt one, but the wheelbarrow I would value higher than the hunt-based eco landmark, and then do the hunt-based one because the movement speed and the carry capacity is so important when you think about wood villagers moving back and forth. When you think about running out to hunts, if the hunts are spread out a little bit, your villagers running back and forth, like it really adds up over time. So yeah, instead you run over to the boar and you are letting your opponent sit here. Like, let's watch your opponent. He now gets production up. He has no units. He still has no units.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't even have defenses. He has nothing on his wood, nothing on his gold, nothing on his berries. He is spending all of his resources on farms because he hasn't felt any pressure. Still doing nothing. He finally builds a tower. When you have, even at your pace where you're a bit slower getting units out, you have 2 knights that could have been right here, immediately knocking him off of this. He has no berries. And once again, downstream effects. No berries means no olive oil, which means he now has to make units, which means he can't go castle as fast, and it just builds on itself. You hit that, you back up, you rotate around, you hit the gold. You then rotate around, and it's like this continuous rotation, continuous hitting, and you just keep rallying units to right here, and you keep that pressure on. And that sort of decisiveness in that decision will allow you then to do some other things, like spend resources. Look at your resource bank right now. You 660 food, 400 gold, but you're not making anything.
Yeah.
And that's partly because, as you said, well, I decided to go get the boar, which means in your mind, I don't really need to make more units because I'm not really doing that right now. To me, I thought when I watched this, I'm like, oh, he's gonna go castle rush now. So I'm waiting here for you to go castle.
I don't remember what I do after this.
And once again, like, and that's a good thing to admit because it shows. Oh, I'm gonna start to wall up, and I saw you walling up. I'm like, oh, okay, he's gonna go castle because he's afraid of raids. And then you go, oh, he's stopping his wall. Okay, he goes in. Okay, now he's gonna go raid. Okay, no. Oh, now he's gonna go stone. It's like,
yeah, I think I thought about getting the second TC.
mm-hmm. And that's the thing. It's like, so why get the second TC now? What's the thought process behind that? Do you think?
I just know from my experience at this rank that not a lot of people do it. A lot of people stop at 70 villagers, and sometimes I can win games just because I go to 110 villagers and then throw cheap units at them until they lose.
That's true.
Just...
I'm a big proponent of it's okay to add TCs later. Like some people are like, you either add at the start or not at all.
Okay.
That's not true. Like you can, I'm big on adding a TC in castle if I've rushed castle. I agree with you on that. The difference is, my opinion is always, if you're gonna go a second TC, go for a second TC, because one, the second you pull villagers off means that's resources you're not using on something else. And if you want that second TC, you want the villagers, you want the extra villagers. So why waste time on that? It's actually a common strategy for like French or Rus is to build 2 or 3 knights, go raid, and then immediately go second TC. But you know what should have happened here instead? Mm-hmm. All these gold villagers go immediately to stone.
Yeah.
Instantly. And then you're rallying to stone because you have the wood. And then you're getting that second TC up instantly. You could go run it over and drop it on the boar and then secure like this boar wood stone area. Or you could just drop it. You could just use your food villagers since you have so much food and just drop it on the net right here on this golden food. And then you rush castle.
I do.
Yeah, you do put it here eventually, but it takes so long. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that builds into the overall feedback I have for you, which is it's just taking time to do everything. You decide to go second TC, it's taking a long time to do that. You're going to go fight. Well, it's taking you a while to get that stuff down. That's because you're signing to do it, but then you're not committing to it. Your decision making isn't bad. It's just whenever you do something, you then slowly do it. So then you start adding barracks. I don't know why per se.
I think I just saw the horseman that he tried to raid with.
Yeah, your knights will take care of that.
Yeah, I didn't think about that at the time that the knights would be fine against them, but
knights would be fine, or your militia. That's the beauty of Rus is that your militia are very good at hunting this down. But that leads to my minor point I'll talk about, which is you often are overreacting to raids. That's a 3 horsemen.
Yeah.
You could send 1 villager to go repair that, and he couldn't get through.
Okay. Instead,
what you do? You immediately send all your militia and all your knights over there. And yeah, you kill it, but a better player just runs the horsemen away. And 2, he just went castle off of this. So then what we do now? He hits castle. You've been kind of making units, but not really. What do we do?
I think I decided to move forward a bit because he used resources there, but I didn't realize how fast he would pump out a lot more.
Yeah, and this is where the biz takes off. You're at 17 units. He is at 11. Okay?
Right.
And so at this moment, if you had been continuously massing units, I would say you got to go right now because he has spent the resources on age up and you have on units, so it's time to go. But here's once again where you're kind of doing a little bit of everything has hurt you. You have some units, but you also have a bunch of resources and you've done some upgrades. And it's like, I don't know what the best move is for you. Because if you walk in right now, he'll probably get units and stop you. So instead, I think your best move here would have been to just wall up and go castle. And then your goal should be to try to raid. But what continuously happens here is you don't really attempt to do anything. You kind of go guard a relic. You tower, but then you stop walling. It's like, no, commit to it. Okay, he went castle. I want to make sure I'm protected, so I'm going to wall. And then the thing you should always do is ask yourself, do I know what he's doing? If not, just grab a scout and go check. You can always make another scout if he dies. And you did. You kind of checked. You saw he's stonewalling. What does stonewalling mean? It means he needs to buy time.
Okay.
Maybe he's rushing imp. Maybe he feels like he doesn't have a lot of units. Maybe he's trying to jump into the TC. Usually if someone's stonewalling, they're trying to get safe, and they've gathered stone to make stone walls. Now's the time to go raid, man. Attach a scout to these horses and go for it. But what I noticed the rest of the game is you just kind of sit. You don't try to be aggressive. You don't really try to do anything. You just kind of sit here. You don't fully protect yourself. You don't fully wall. It's just kind of a lot of waiting. This is a great spot, by the way.
Yeah, I thought it was good, and then I walled it in because I mean, usually when I play, I don't see more than like 120, but I think it was like 150 gold.
Mm-hmm.
It's
yeah, it was sweet. And here's all I think you need to do. Instead of doing the full wall, just wall here to here.
Yeah.
You know, here to here, here to here, and you're good. Especially your walls are very good early because they're so dense. But then once again, like you attack, and instead of being like, let me see if I can find a spot to raid, because he has an all infantry army. If someone's an all infantry army, then you have the advantage with a cav to go check something.
Yeah, I guess I assumed the stone wall was all the way across, but it
never assumed.
Wasn't.
Never assumed, because you would have stopped it here, and then you could have run through the back here, and he'd be chasing you.
Yeah.
And always the key is, if he chases you with all his units, then you send the next wave of units directly where those units were, and that's how you kind of raid and get damage done. Because we got to do some damage, because you're at 24, and he's at 37.
Mm-hmm.
And his eco is not that much better than yours. It's just his cisterns allow him to produce faster, and you're starting to get more production, which is great. But it's like, oh man, we gotta do. When I was watching this first time, sitting here going, we gotta do something. Late.
Yeah, that's too late.
And my biggest thing is, especially for Roos, if it becomes this game of, oh, I can't attack, he's walled up, he's really defensive, then you wall up and you rush imp. And you go Streltsy, and you go Pure Siege, and that's how you got to play at this point. Because at this point, it's going to be really hard to get in.
I think that's what I was starting to think is, oh, I can go Imperial with the high armory and maybe the Mangonel and upgrade to the Bombards will help me, but I didn't get far enough.
Exactly.
He just had too many army.
And you look what happened. It was 4 minutes. You're at 43, so you got you kind of doubled what you had. He's at 83 military.
Yeah. I didn't anticipate that.
And
he knew what he was doing on that.
And so now we know, right? Like, Biz, you can't let them pop. You got to go in early, you got to go in quick, and you got to be aggressive. And I would suggest in your games, try being more aggressive than you're comfortable with, and you're going to find, especially your elo currently, it's successful. Because people just overreact when you're aggressive. They forget to move their villagers, or they build the wrong units, or they get way too much of a resource, and you give yourself a lot of advantages by doing that. And then you can choose to go castle, you could drop rams, whatever you want to do, but try having that mindset of, I'm going to make some knights and really go for it and see what I can get, and then learn from when it doesn't work. That makes sense?
Mm-hmm.
Cool. Any questions from the crowd, or any questions from you first?
No, I didn't really know how to play against the Civ, so that helped.
Mm-hmm. Any questions?
I think I played someone at, like, the match before with the same thing, and my strategy there worked, but this guy was better.
Yeah. Any questions from the crowd? Yeah, I'm gonna take that as a no. Let's look at the English game then, because we've done a half hour on Roos. Let's look at the English game here. So I think this is another great example of for me, like in any of our games, there's 1,000 things we can improve on, but it's always good to have like 2 or 3 things that are our main focus points at this point. For me to you, it is lack of a plan, lack of scouting, and lack of commitment to an action, right? So you do this English opening. It's very popular right now. Shout out to all the English people who are doing this palace opening.
I know how to play like the longbows, and sometimes I do that too, but yeah, I know it is popular. I don't like playing against it, but
no one likes playing against it. Do you know the purpose of this king opening? What's it trying to do?
Just trying to push them off a gold or a resource so that they age up slower.
Okay. So I think that one explains kind of the first issue of this, which is one key part of this build is the second TC.
Yeah. I do go for it.
You do,
but I don't go for it until I think I'm already age 2.
Yeah, it's late. Well, actually, you start dropping it as you're going castle. Now, I want to talk about why this is so good. Usually, like for an average civ, if they're going second TC, what's the con of going for a second TC in your mind?
can't make longbows. They're sitting there making it, not getting food or gold.
Yeah, and then so they can't make units, right? So an average civ, if they're going a second TC, the natural hamper is I'm not making units, or I can't make very many. And an opponent who is making units has this chance to push me. The beauty of this build for English is they get this Abbey of Kings, which makes a free unit, the Knight,
Yeah.
which you can then go to attack your opponent, and they can't pressure your second TC. You are allowed then as English to get basically a free second TC. You can get all the resources, you're dropping it on the gold, and by the time the opponent chases away your king and could finally get units to your side, your gold is protected by a TC. And since you're English, you can start making farms. And at that point you just rush castle. Because when you rush castle, you get the white tower, you put your white tower next to your farms, and boom, you now have 2 TCs and a farming eco that's completely protected by the white tower.
Yeah.
And at that point, you could either just turtle to imp, or you could just mass men at arms or crossbows and just go. It's very tough to stop because you can't hurt their farms.
Yeah, a lot of people, at least in this rank, try to put the white tower right on you. But if I do use it instead of King's Palace, I think lately, at least with this game, I know I put it between the 2 TCs or near the 2 TCs, and
Yeah,
at least I feel like everybody's protected.
And yeah, that white tower rush build right now is kind of the meme thing going on right now. But
Right.
that's a waste. Like the beauty of the white tower is its defensiveness and its ability to completely protect your eco.
I think on this map too, it feels bigger for them to run down. I don't know if I'm wrong, but it does feel like it's a long run from TC to TC.
Yeah. And so while if like you place it near your 2 TCs, I would have put it back here purely just for the farms because it's so powerful to protect your farming eco. It can't be touched, and if you have food coming in, you're basically good to go. Like it's really hard to stop you at that point. So you age up, and once again, we do things slowly. And what I meant to actually show is you need to commit to that second TC as fast as possible. One thing that people who are English players do is the second they start the age up, they send as many villagers as they can to stone. So they're gathering stone as they age up.
What about the wood then, though? They're sending.
You do stone first, and then you get the wood, and then you drop it.
Okay.
So let's rush to the age up again, and I'll show you what I mean. So opening's good. My only critique would be you kind of do a weird scouting pattern where you go to the right and then you come to the middle and then you go over to his side and you come back. I would have just committed to either one of two things. Either do your whole side yourself or come over and scan one half of the map and come back and then get the other half of the map.
On this map, I realized it was Rocky River, like whatever, a minute or two in, or not a minute, but 30 seconds. And I'm like, wait, usually the sheep are kind of more clustered towards the middle. So I went there where I should have just gone middle immediately. I think I find a whole bunch.
Yeah.
In a second. Yeah. Like,
there's a lot of sheep on this map. I don't know if it's more than average. Okay, sorry. I forgot the thing. So right here is what I'm talking about. You had a chance to go stone with this mill wood. Instead, you built a mill, which instead go straight to stone. You also have 7 on food. You don't need 7 on food. You only need 4.
Right.
So what you could have done instead is drop a house instead of the lumber camp, and then you drop a stone, and then you drop a mining camp. You send all your extra villagers to stone. You get your 350 stone. You bring them back. You have them gather the straggler trees, which is 350 wood. And then they gather up, and then you drop a lumber camp, you grab 100 more, and you're good to go. And the whole time you just keep rallying to stone and then to wood. So you have more and more and more, so it goes faster, faster, and faster. Then you drop that TC on gold, and then you split. You go on gold, so you can go to castle. You then keep on wood, and then you just start adding farms. Add farms, add farms, add farms. Leave a spot for your white tower and go for it. If someone tries to be aggressive, honestly, you can hold it with your TCs, because you get the white tower up, it ends. If you really feel like they're coming at you, drop like an archery range, start making some longbows, and just play defensive till you get to castle. But oftentimes when I'm playing against English and I'm scouting this, as I'm coming around, the second they age up, they're done on stone.
Okay.
And it's like, fuck. Because I'm hitting my age up. I got a king coming my way. I know they're halfway to a TC, and it already feels like I'm behind.
Yeah, and I understand that strategy, and I think a lot of people at the rank I'm at instead don't even go for the stone, and they just like get the king, and then they think they're
Bruh.
gonna drop the white tower on me and finish the game. And it's worked out like this, but I could see how getting the second TC that fast is good. And for a while, I was actually just building the King's Palace, even though I know it's like not as. I don't think it's necessarily bad compared to White Tower, but
It's
sometimes I do
it's
King's Palace.
it's not bad because I mean, yeah, you're getting more eco. The thing that gets me is I'm a big component of if I would be unhappy to see that as an opponent, that's probably the thing I should do. So
Yeah,
if
that
I
makes
see
sense.
King's Palace playing against English, I'm excited. I'm like, oh, I can go dive their
Yeah,
eco.
the game goes longer.
And I know I can go dive their eco. While in this case, if I see the White Tower, I'm like, fuck, I can't attack their food because and until Imp, because at Imp I can get enough upgrades that my soldiers can live under the White Tower for a bit. But until that point, it feels like it's unstoppable. Um, and so, but that's my thing. But that's the thing I like wanted to point out is it's just taking time. You get to castle very efficiently, but that means this entire 8 minutes you're missing on the extra villagers, which is the powerful part of this build. Is that you should be getting extra villagers right now, but you're not.
Right.
So you do the age up. I honestly would have finished the TC and then
Yeah, I
pulled
think
them.
I miss shift clicked this. Like I didn't want them to
Yeah.
do that.
But your rating was good here. You kept poking, you kept running, you stayed close, so he felt that pressure. Like the rating was very good. Um, so what I love is that you immediately go make longbows out of the White Tower. Great. We really need to drop a archery range to upgrade. Oh, you did. Perfect. Never mind. You got it. So let's also talk about aggressiveness here, because you know he was pure spear to stop your knight.
Yeah.
And he
Like
also
the archers.
yeah, and he dropped a very passive TC here.
Doesn't protect anything.
Doesn't protect anything. Right. So you have this huge advantage where if I read this, I'm thinking, oh, I'm ending this game in castle. He has no extra resources. He's walled himself out. We want to look at our scouting here.
Yeah, I didn't identify that. I didn't know to look for that.
Yeah, always like to see the TC. You saw he went second TC. If it's not around here, you can guess he just put it in his base. But he's gonna run out of food soon. The thing you always think about, if they run out of food, where's the next food? It's here.
Yeah.
Or he could hypothetically risk it and go down here. But the thing, if you're being aggressive, is to always ask which direction should I attack from to cut off resources. I would have immediately checked this, because that's where he has to go to get more food. And if he starts dropping farms, you're good to go.
Okay.
And if you're gonna go pure longbow, what should you match that with?
I usually do men at arms, but I don't know.
Men at arms is good. But if you're in a pinch, do spears, just because of course he's gonna make some sort of cavalry. And if he's smart and gets to castle and goes mass knights will beat longbow and men at arms. So the safe one is spears early on, and then you transition into men at arms as you get the upgrades. But if we're talking about pressuring right now, it would probably be spears just to prevent horsemen from doing anything.
Okay.
What I do really like, and this is a key for everyone out there, you have 10 on gold and castle. A lot of times at this elo, I see people go castle and have 4 on gold, and you can't get anything. But you want a lot of people on gold going to castle to get all the upgrades you need, as well as get your eco upgrades, which is really good.
I usually try to put the second TC on like gold and wood or gold and something useful. And then I can just rally right to it.
Exactly.
Not worry about it for a while. But then I always eventually have too many on one thing, and I have to
And that happens. Like at this point, if I'm you, I do my little poke. I check back to my TC. I ask myself, and do you have your TC on a hotkey?
H.
Cool. I put on the side of my mouse so I can just bounce back to it. I have TC rotation, so I can go through all my TCs if I have multiple. Yeah. And I always check. So you've done a little poke. I bounce back. I'm making villagers. Yes. Am I making units? No. Do you have your production on a hotkey?
I usually do.
What do you use?
What is it? J is for melee. K is for archery. U is for stable.
I have never heard someone do that before. That's fascinating.
What do people do? So I mean, you could do. Sometimes I do F1 and tab through also, but that takes
do whatever makes you comfortable. If you're used to doing JKU, do it. Like, awesome, because then it's very clear what you want to queue up. So that's great. For
I
me,
do
what
that, and then sometimes I'll do like select all ranged, Shift K, and then like Control 2 really quickly.
Yep. Personally, if I ever have to shift my left hand away from the left side of the keyboard, it gets really clunky for me. So what I've
There's
done,
a mouse button, yeah.
yeah. So what I've done is as much as possible, and like once again, I'm not saying you need to do it this way. I was giving you an example. I do 4-3 for all my production. So kind of like F1. I just don't like reaching up to F1. So I put on
Okay.
4, and then I tab through. And the key is tabbing and then using the hotkey, so like Q or W, or E depending on the production building. But the
Yeah,
key
I don't
is
think I usually click the units anymore. This is nice.
nice. But here's the key about it is that at all times, even if you're not checking back at home, the second you decide to be aggressive, you have to keep making units. And so if I'm
Yeah.
up here, I'm clicking 4, I'm right clicking, and then I'm tabbing. Unfortunately you can't well, you can use Y, which sucks, but like I'm hotkeying, I'm tabbing, I'm getting longbows. So I'm here, I'm gonna right click, I'm gonna
I didn't
queue
even
up
know you could do Y.
spears. Yeah,
Yeah.
they say it right here, but I
Yeah.
forget all the time too. So I just click, and then tab Q Q Q Q, and I'm rallying to right here because this is my attack point because I don't want to take the pressure off at this point. Like he's stuck in feudal, I'm in castle, I got stuff, I'm going for it. You know what I mean? And I'm picking my next check spot. So in this case, I would check here because he put his tower far back, right? Oh, he walled
Yeah.
up. I'm gonna go around the wall. He's not on berries yet. Okay, I'm gonna
Well, I
leave.
think
Yeah,
I saw that tower and I thought it doesn't protect him from my archers.
it doesn't. This
I think
wall
I
does
go
though.
to kill a couple.
You
Yeah.
you could have walked up, I think, and got it right here. But there's just
I think he never walls there, and I think I do.
yeah. But you notice there's no units being made right now,
Yeah.
and that's killer. This oftentimes this game comes down to it's as easy as who keeps making units.
Mm-hmm.
Like who keeps making units, who forgets. The amount of times I have lost a game and I look at my resource bank and I have thousands of resources, but I don't have enough production. I forgot to make units.
Yeah, sometimes I pull back even when I'm ahead because I realize I'm not replenishing fast enough because I got like 10 idle because they finished doing whatever the
Mm-hmm.
deer and I'm like I just need a moment to not lose some units.
I mean, he just lost. I mean, like, but yeah, but like,
Right.
if you just kept reinforcing, this game is already over. Like, especially if you start making men at arms, he has nothing to kill men at arms. If you get men at arms and then there's no blacksmith. We really need a blacksmith at this point. But if you get like
Yeah, I forget on English. I don't know why, but
it's
like other ones I
so
always put it down.
important. The arrow attack upgrade
Yeah.
for your longbows so important.
Yeah.
The blacksmith upgrades. If you get the arrow defense for your men at arms, they can just walk like in castle. They can just walk under TC and just start hunting things. Like, really, this game is over right now. If you just start making men at arms, and go for it. This game should not last another 12 minutes. And I know this because he's in feudal. He's stuck in his base. You're in castle.
There's no gold.
There's
Yeah,
no gold.
no
Like it's just
food.
this. But what your goal should be is okay. I have to cut off this. So my next step would have been, you should actually rotate to here or leave like 2 units over here so you can tell when he's coming. So like make one knight and have the knight sit here.
Okay.
It's like what you'll notice if you watch high level players play, once they get aggressive, they immediately will send a unit to resources around the map because they know if I can just stop them from getting there, I win this game.
Okay.
Because if he has to, and that's an aggressive mindset. I cut off resources because if he has to start making farms back here, that's so expensive for him. He's gonna have no wood. He look at him. He's not even. He just started aging up. He has no resources. So like he's in a really really bad spot. If you just stay here and then start rallying other resources, because what does he do? He immediately walls up and then he's on this goal and he's gonna run his berries in a second, which just buys him time. Then you run back. Why, like, there's no need to walk backward, you know what I mean? You can just sit here and wait. You then kind of walk in, but you don't need to sit here. Like, you're not doing anything. But look at your resources right now. 900 food, 1,000 wood, 1,000 gold.
Yep.
If those were units, you walk over him. Because
Okay.
if you were making units, and the second he hits castle, you go for it, he's dead. And that's decisiveness. That's deciding, I have him a good spot, I'm going to go for it. And even if you end up being wrong, you can learn something from that. But you have to have a plan and go for it. And I know I've been saying that again and again, but I was a teacher for a while. I learned in teaching theory that oftentimes you have to repeat things multiple times for things to stick. So when I find the point for people that I really care about, showed multiple
Yeah.
times and stick in the head, because the reason he could get all these horsemen out was because you let him sit back and make all this stuff. But even then, this horseman's not going to save him the game.
Right.
All you have to do is keep making units, and you're often not. For example, you get a bunch of stone. Sure, dropping a keep up here would have been great. It would have been better if you had more units. Send a group of villagers over to Deer, and then keep adding farms. You will soon have enough food that he can't stop you. But you're slowing yourself down, and you're elongating this game way more than it needs to be. Just from that indecisiveness. Because now he's on berries over here. He honestly could have run down. Yeah, he could have run down and stolen these if he wanted to. It's just now you're walling up. I don't even know why.
Yeah, I think I think I try to do I try to count for everything, like you said. I do, because I see the horseman, and I think eventually he does raid me,
Mm-hmm.
but at this point it doesn't matter. He's so like by the time he does, I think there was a gap in the wall, but he was so far behind it didn't really
Yes.
matter.
And here's the thing. If I'm all for being safe, that's fine. Um because you're right. The thing that can get him back in this game is a good raid. But one, just do wood walls.
Okay.
Like no like stone, you don't really need stone, because really all you need is the time to get units to where he's trying to raid. And two, that's once again why if you put the white tower here, you don't really have to worry. Your villagers can just go hide in TC and white tower, even off wood lines, and you're fine. Like he's not going to do anything. I really wish you'd put this tower up here though for the attack speed.
Yeah, no, I think that was my plan,
Yeah.
and I think he pushes me. I think he brings some stuff forward. I don't remember, but I did like I do try to make one and then make another one. I could start with the farthest one and then go to the second, but
I do love
I
that you
did
get
think
relics.
I needed that.
Mm-hmm. I do love the emit relics. Here's one thing I want to talk about. So you saw the horseman come in. This is what he wanted. This thing you're doing right here. If you're raiding, the goal of a raid is to buy yourself space and time.
Yeah.
You pulled every unit back for horsemen. And I think here's the question you want to ask yourself. Am I going to die if I don't bring these units back? Is my eco going to be forever destroyed? No. No. You know what you do? You stay here. You go you grab your production hotkey, and you're doing what you're doing now. You just rally right here. It's over. He can't your rallied units will do the damage. Cause watch, you're gonna run back.
Yeah, I think I do run back, but the
eight
rallied
horsemen.
units do kill them.
Yeah. So all you do is buy him space. If he's smart at this point, he then walls here. He drops a tower. He runs villagers out side to side, and he really uses this time that you just basically handed him on a platter for no reason. And now he does and it's horsemen too. You can't catch him.
Right.
Just defend the eco. When he eventually leaves or dies, build the wall and you're fine. But you'd be surprised how much your rallied units, how much they can do to live. But remember, are we doing things that our opponent wants us to do? Our opponent wants us to pull back and give him space. And,
I think he knew he needed to make some time for himself.
Now, if this had been 12 knights, okay, well then maybe.
Right.
Or even then, run your villagers towards your army. Then run and set up here, so they're near the army. But do not overreact to raids. It is something I see a lot of people do with this elo, and that's something you can take advantage of. That's why raiding with a couple knights or attacking with 4 archers on one side, he will send everything over there because people tend to overreact. We overestimate what our opponent can do, which slows us down. Which is kind of what you're doing right now. You're sitting here with 53 military. He has 39. And they're all Gulams. But you look what he's done. He's gotten space to get his farms down, to get a couple Mangonels down. And if he gets 3 Mangonels and he gets a good shot off, this game could turn.
Yeah.
But he's using these horsemen, but you'll be fine if you just stay calm and realize what you need to do. Keep the pressure on, don't let him get resources. Any questions about that idea?
No.
Sweet. Any questions from the crowd? All right. Okay. That's all I have for you, man. Do you have any broad questions or need for suggestion or things like that?
I don't think so.
Cool.
I think I asked him while we were looking.
Sweet. So big thing here from your game. You, as I said, you've been on a huge win streak today, but a lot of it is games that should be half the length. Um,
Yeah,
if from
yeah,
here on out, what I want you to do is try a strategy. It could be feudal rush. It could be feudal all in. It could be castle rush into an all in. Whatever it is, pick a plan and go. I'm going to commit to this and try it. And you might lose some games at first because you make a bad decision or you attack the wrong spot. But it's easier to identify where we went wrong if we have a plan and we're really trying to execute it, and then it'll make it better because you'll learn what works here, what doesn't work here, um, and will make you an overall
okay,
better player if you're more decisive. And
yeah,
your decision making will quicken from doing those things. Such just asking yourself, I have a lot of resources. Like at this point, if I'm you, I look at this, I go, I have a lot of resources. Oh, I'm not making units. I have a lot of wood. I'm gonna drop 3 more archery ranges, 2 more barracks. I'm gonna rally, and I'm just gonna queue as many units as I can right now because I'm trying to finish the game. I have an advantage. I and I can think of that quickly because I've done the work of consistently looking at my resources and asking what I'm trying to do, what's my plan, how do I execute that. Slower at first, gets faster as you keep doing it.
all right,
All right, man. Well, thanks for doing this coaching session, and
yeah.
letting
Thank you.
and letting me stream and record it, and make a video out of it. Um, always in the Discord. Always feel free to keep asking questions. And good luck on your games, man.
Thank you. Good luck with throwing this out. I really appreciate it.
And thank you. I appreciate it. Just doing my best. Uh,
Yeah.
I have a. I just it's crazy how many people have ordered. Like I didn't expect to get. Oh, even the people I have now. So it's been a lot of
I
fun.
mean, I there's probably some secret algorithm that's getting people into this game because, like I said, I never wanted to play an RTS until like 3 months ago.
And
But it
even
seems like people are getting into them
well, and even
again.
recently, there's been like I expected an influx of new people when the first DLC came out, but recently even there's been another like wave of new people joining in, which is great because the
Yeah.
game's in a really good spot right now. So
Yeah, I mean, it has a consistent amount of people that play. It doesn't fluctuate too much, and
mm.
I think there's enough people at most ranks to make everyone happy.
Yeah, and that was the issue like even a year ago was that a new person would join on, there'd be no new people to play. But now there's a solid base of like newer people who all have the same skill level, which makes it a more fair game.
That makes sense.
All right, man. Well, I'm gonna head out.
Yeah,
Um,
I'm gonna see if I can keep winning or losing.
um, just keep improving, man, and let me know how it goes.
All right, thank you, sir.
All
Bye.
right, take care.